What's up everybody, Barnett here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to get the most out of your photos. First of all, with a few tips on how to shoot well, then on some Photoshop tips, and then finally, how to crush your Instagram game. Roll the intro. Okay, so the first thing you've got to remember is that the fact that this is a digital camera that you're probably shooting on and not a film camera probably kind of causes you to shoot more photos and not think as much about each shot. I really want to encourage you to think about your photos, think about the shots, compose them really well, make sure that exposure is just perfect, and then when you think you're finally ready, hit that shutter button. Alright, and the next tip kind of screws up the last one, because this tip is to shoot as much as possible, because you are working with a digital camera and the more shots you have, the more likely one of them is going to be good. But really make sure that every single one of those shots is carefully thought out. You don't have to make a whole game plan when you're going into the field to shoot some stuff, but make sure that you do think about it before shooting. And you know what, honestly just putting a little bit of thought into every single photo just makes them 10 times better, so much better. And it just fixes up a lot of issues that you would otherwise have to fix up in Photoshop or Polarr, which is what I use, or any other editing program. It just kind of makes your life a bit easier and, you know, just gives you better photos. Another thing is to make sure that focus is absolutely perfect. I don't know how many times I've been out and I've taken the perfect photo and then I've come back and gone to edit it and realised that it's just that tiny bit out of focus, and that just annoys me so much when I see that my perfect shot is just ruined by the fact that that one piece of glass inside my lens just wasn't correctly aligned. Alright, so this is the next part of the video, and we're going to be editing the photos. Let me tell you, there is absolutely no shame whatsoever in editing your photos. I know you all like #NoFilter and all that sort of stuff, but really, if you're editing your photos to bring out the best in them, then that is absolutely fine. Alright, so first obviously you want to import your photo into Polarr. Pretty simple, just drag it onto the application, or you can use the open files button. Alright, now what we're going to do here is we're just going to dehaze it a little bit. I always like to start with this just to make sure that there's no kind of mess in the photo or whatever. Now for this photo, I'm going to be doing what I think works best for this, and I'll try and give you some tips along the way. So often a photo will need a little bit more contrast, so we're just going to scroll to light and then pump that up a little bit. Not too high, otherwise it'll get a bit weird, but just around 40 would probably do it. And then I usually don't touch the brightness at all, but the exposure might need to go up after that change in contrast. And you can see here I'm literally just kind of fiddling with different settings and seeing what works best. So for this photo, I think it needs a little bit more kind of colour, a bit more pop to it, and maybe it needs to be a little bit more blue. Now I think this photo would look kind of cool with a bit of a vignette on it. This works for some photos, not for all, although a lot of photos could really benefit with a vignette. So we're just going to drag that down a little bit, maybe feather it a little bit. Feathering is the sharpness of the edge. So maybe feather it just a bit more. There we go. Maybe a bit more vignette. Now we probably want to bring the blacks down a little bit just to keep that nice kind of solid dark black in it. And maybe pump the whites up a little bit too. Oops. Now what I just noticed with this photo is that there is a little bit of distortion just on the horizon along there. So I'm just going to drag this lens distortion slider, and you can see that there's a grid that pops up, and that's helping me to align the photo perfectly. Now speaking of horizon lines, it's very important to always make sure that the horizon line is flat, and make sure that it is level with the rest of the photo and with the edges of the photo, of course. So it looks like this photo is already pretty level, so I'll just adjust that a tiny bit. Now this is something that you can also do So I don't really like this big kind of brightness in the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a gradient mask, just like this. And then I'm going to drag the bottom handle up here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull the exposure down a little bit. And maybe put the contrast up a bit too. This isn't everyone's choice. You know, you might prefer to have kind of an orange sky if you want, or you could have a purple sky, which kind of looks cool, to be honest. I think I'm going to have a little bit orange. So that just kind of adds a bit of drama to your photo. It looks interesting, if I'm honest. That's kind of why I like it. Alright, and now we're just going to finish up, do some finishing touches. So I just noticed, you can notice that there's a little tiny bit of grain just happening in the photo. I think the ISO is a little bit high on this, ISO 200, so not too high, but it's still causing a little bit of grain, so we'll just put a bit of denoising in that. And then we might sharpen it up a little bit more, just to give it a bit more definition around the edges. Alright, and I'm happy with that. So you can see in just those tiny little few adjustments that we made, we've gone from this kind of boring, like it's a nice photo, but you know, it's not anything exciting, into this, which is, I would say, quite a dramatic and kind of beautiful photo. So there you have it. That's how you want to edit your photos. Now, not all photos will be the same with editing. You know, portraits usually don't need as much contrast, and often not as much sharpness. Polarr does have a separate face tool that you can use, just here. Alright, and now the next thing is to share these photos with the world and make sure that you get tons of likes on that. So what we're first what we're going to do is we're going to download an app called Polarr. Now this app is used for generating hashtags for all of your photos. You just enter the category, enter the gear that you used. It's pretty simple. Alright, so I took this on a Canon camera. It's a landscape. It's probably also ocean. Now we just hit generate, and now we have a ton of hashtags right there. So we can just copy them up, copy them to clipboard. So so I don't need to edit this photo at all, so I'm just going to hit next, as you would for sharing any other photo. And now all I have to do is choose a caption. And the best way to do this, I find, is to go onto Pinterest and just find a cute quote or whatever, you know, whatever you like. So I'm just going to search for ocean, and then it comes up with ocean quotes, so I'll just tap on that. And somewhere here. Alright, so I like this quote, dance with the waves, move with the sea. I'm just going to type that straight into Instagram. And the cool thing about Polarr is that it even adds in those dots just to space out your caption from the hashtags. And there you go. That is a bunch of hashtags. And alright, so let's wait a little while and see what happens with this. Alright, so already got 1 like, and that's only under a minute since posting. Let's see what happens now. Alright, 2 likes in 2 minutes. I'm just going to stop the recording now, and we'll come back in about 20 minutes and see how many likes I've got. Now keep in mind that I do only have 430 followers, as you can see right here. So this may be different for different people, but hey, I've got a fair bit of likes already. Those hashtags definitely do help with your with the likes and with the reach of your posts, which you can then also use to promote other things. So if you use all of those hashtags on, say, a post about